Curated by Inspiring Time. And if you're joining us for the first time, I'm Amber, the founder of Inspiring Time. And with me today, we're not completely dear friends, but we're really working on this subject quite rapidly. And before we get to April, let me just throw in a little bit if you haven't been here before. So I really love doing this podcast and YouTube to share with you hospitality and healthy living and everything that goes into that. It's not just serving a fantastic drink or a great meal, and it's not working out and, finding a good headspace. It's all of that combined to live with your most beautiful, inspired life. And I could not think of a better person to help me really drive this concept home than April. And April, we met 2 weeks ago, I think. We were on the same entrepreneurial page, and I put my podcast out there, and she goes, I think we could really connect. And we spent an hour chatting it up. Now, the minute she speaks to you, you're going to know that she is not quite from America. And her story is truly just awe-inspiring. So, April, I am going to let you take it away and share with us what you do, and we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you so much for that lovely introduction, Amber. And I've really enjoyed getting to know you as well. You're a beautiful, beautiful soul. So my name is April Shwe-Paul. I am a success mindset and purpose coach, and I run a 3-month one-on-one coaching program with my clients to basically help them get unstuck and set goals to propel them towards the future and a life that they do love and are more passionate about and inspired about as well. And as well as also overcoming any obstacles and challenges that come their way. I absolutely love what I do, and it's just such a gratifying role and thing to be able to give back to my clients and see them transform and heal in their journeys. So that's a little bit about me. And in terms of my background, I am actually from Burma or Myanmar. So I currently live in New Zealand, so I have a very Kiwi accent, which you probably can tell. But yeah, I originally came from Burma, and I actually left as a refugee with my parents as they fled the country when I was 6 years old, and we basically were on the run for about 3 years, and finally found refuge in New Zealand when I was about 9. So it's a long story short, but there was a lot of dangers around the corner, and I'm very grateful to where life has led me here in New Zealand as well. But because of that, it keeps me very grounded, very humble, and remembering what is important, and also being grateful for what you have as well, because there's always somebody out there that's, as the cliche saying goes, but it's true. There's always somebody out there that's, having it harder than you. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Well, I have to say that when you shared that with me just last week, I think that's really what spoke to me. Of course, first and foremost, the fact that you had been running and you didn't really know. Of course, New Zealand is home and has been home for a long time. But I'm sure when you go through the trauma of uprooting, especially that way, and being on the run, it's kind of hard to know where you fit in, the new home, and making sure you feel comfortable in your own skin again. And I know that behind you, you have another passion that I want everybody to notice. Oh my goodness.
Yes, so I do painting and artwork as well, acrylic, watercolor, everything. And I also briefly shared with you as well the fact that, yeah, I actually stopped painting for about 8 years. So when I was about 17 years old, I got told I loved art up until that stage. And, it was my passion. That's what I dreamed to become and do in the future. Anything creative related, that's just me. And my deputy principal at the time came to me and said, April, you're a bright student, and art is never going to get you anywhere in life. You're not going to make money with it, and just urged me to go down the academic path. I'm saying it a lot nicer than the way she said it. So it really broke me when you're a 17-year-old with, low self-esteem for me at the time. And when your deputy principal of your whole high school comes up to you and tells you that, you kind of go, okay, well, I can do art, but clearly, this person doesn't believe in me. And at the time, I let that stop me from pursuing art, and I actually stopped doing art entirely and went down the corporate route. And basically, it made me feel like something was missing for a long time until I reconnected with it about 3 years ago. Yeah,
and there again, I've had a lot of people reach out to me about, maybe they're a little bit farther along in life. Maybe they have kiddos. They're in school and they're going, wait a second, I put some things up in the closet and they're still hanging out there. But how do I shake them off? And how do I, bring them back into my life? And I love that your story absolutely includes that. Something that really kind of got you through probably the hard times of moving and integrating into a new community. And then to have that kind of ripped away, knowing that that's not maybe what you should be doing, but yet in your heart you knew it's very true to your passion and your purpose, and sharing that. So I think most of us can absolutely feel that pain. So I'm so glad, y'all. The paintings are fantastic. I love them. I'm drawn to them all the time. I love the blues and the greens. Totally mesmerizing.
Thank you. Actually, you're wearing blue right now.
Maybe I did it a little intentionally, hoping you would be sitting there again. The color coordination. But what brought you into the coaching world? I know you said you went to corporate and maybe you weren't feeling all that great about it. So how did you know that was what you were supposed to be doing?
Yes, so it wasn't a straightforward road as anything is when you're trying to figure out what you're meant to be doing. There was a lot of zigzags along the way, but so probably from that first instance that I told you, you can probably tell that after that point, a lot of people in my life decided or had a huge influence on where my life path went. So obviously my deputy principal at the time had an influence on me because I had really low self-esteem at the time. Being very young and very easily influenced by outside forces, I didn't follow my intuition towards what I was passionate about and what I enjoyed. And the same thing with the corporate world. So obviously she had a hand in it, but also my parents obviously went through quite a lot to bring me to New Zealand, and they sacrificed so much to bring me here that for them though, they had the best intentions and they wanted me to go down the corporate path because they knew I was going to have a safe and secure life and not live the life that they lived, which was they were dirt poor when they started their marriage. They had 30 cents to their name. We slept on on the ground of people's houses. We didn't have our own home in Burma as well. So we had a really rough life in Burma. So because of that, they didn't want me to go through that same path of struggle and hardship and poverty. So although they supported my artwork, but they also made it clear that, you should probably go down the architectural route or something that can help you make a bit more money, with the best intentions. I didn't want to do architecture because I like being expressive, whereas with architecture it's very structured. So I decided, you know what, okay, well, I'm going to do business because do a business degree because that's versatile, and ended up on the corporate path and became a recruiter for over 7-8 years. After that, doing multiple consultant and advisory roles. And although I loved the people aspect of it, I just felt really unfulfilled by the actual work that I was doing, because it was more about obviously placing people in roles and sales oriented, which most businesses is very important as well, but it just didn't feel fulfilling to me. I felt like something was missing, and it took a lot for me to actually change, because I'm sure everyone listening can probably relate to this, where you want to change but you just feel so comfortable where you are because life feels comfortable. You've got the bills paid, you know what you're doing with your work, and although you're deeply unfulfilled and unhappy, it just is scary to take that leap and make a whole different life change and career path change as well. So it took, actually, for me, my mum passing away for me to have a midlife crisis basically, and reassess my entire life. And that was a huge spiritual awakening for me, as well as just an awakening of, hey, my time is ticking. We all have an expiry date. We don't know if it's going to be tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. We don't know that. And I was the type of person to always just keep certain things for retirement, painting. I'll retire when I'm 65 in New Zealand. That's the retirement age. I'll retire and buy a beach house and paint and donate my time to charity when I'm 65. That's when I'll finally get to do what I'm passionate about and be happy, because that's sort of the social conditioning that we do have. I think that's changing and shifting a lot these days, but that was me back in the day. And that made my mom passing away at 58 with pancreatic cancer made me realize that, hey, you may not get to 65 to live your dreams and be truly happy. And that really shook me up. And that's what sort of started me on the path of finding work that was more fulfilling and purpose driven. And I became driven by not having regret by the end of my life, basically, because I saw my mother, who had all this beautiful potential in her. She was just this vibrant person. And I guess I luckily have inherited a lot of her people skills.
Absolutely. Yes.
But anybody who came in contact with her just fell in love with her. And when she got diagnosed, that's when her whole life was about serving us and our family. So she sacrificed a lot of her own dreams in order for us to have the life that we did. Although she didn't need to that extent, because at a certain age you're fine now. You don't have to keep sacrificing for your children. But she continued to do that, and it was only when she got diagnosed that she finally started doing things that she was passionate about and she enjoyed. So she started, spreading her message of hope and encouragement on churches, on stages, to people walking on the streets, to anybody who would listen. And that just deeply, deeply inspired me and touched me to my core, seeing her go through that. And also feeling like it was such a shame that she waited to blossom and flourish until she had this, terminal illness diagnosed. So that was a huge life lesson. And although as painful as it was to have lost her, I tried to look at it in a way of, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? How can I use this to better myself and my life, as well as make a positive impact in other people's lives as well? So that's sort of what propelled me into where I am.
Well, and I love the fact that you brought up being happy when you turn 65, because I feel like that's a lot of people's mentality. Like, I can't be happy right now because I'm just working, or I'm just raising kids, or I'm just, and that really needs to be probably one of your first mindset switches, is that you're supposed to be happy right now, living your best life, your most beautiful life, your most purpose-driven life right now. So when we talk, I know, and I've heard this several times, what is a coach? Like, that makes me kind of scared. Like, why is that, like therapist, or like, but it's not. So I would love to hear how you treat your clients. What does that kind of look like when they're with you?
Yes. Okay. I think that's a great topic you brought up, because yes, people get confused with coaching, from therapy to consulting to mentoring. Those are very different things. And I guess the main differentiation is, I guess the main ones that you get confused with is therapy versus coaching. So with therapy, a lot of the focus is on the past and processing what's happened and healing what's broken from the past. Whereas with coaching, it's future oriented. So when you work with a professional coach, what you get is basically a roadmap to your future. So we look at where you've been, what's keeping you stuck, and then we look at where you want to go and how to get you there, by helping you make the right mindset shifts, as well as putting in the right steps and action steps in place, because it's all great and well doing all the mindset work and taking no action. So coaching is action oriented and it's future oriented. So basically a coach is there to help basically push you beyond what's comfortable to you, beyond your comfort zone, so that you can meet your full potential, and basically help you think in a more empowering way as well. So coaching is very thought-provoking, it's very empowering, inspiring, and it's just there to help you basically hold accountability as well in your whatever goal that you want to achieve whilst working with a coach is. And coaching is focused on you, helping you design your future and your goals. And that's probably the main difference. It's basically focusing on you and where you want to go. And it's actually, when you get into coaching, well, even when I got certified as well, I thought it was going to be a lot of telling, but it's actually the opposite. It's a lot of asking. That's
Yes.
asking. That's the powerful part about it. It's asking powerful questions to help you get to your epiphany, because it's much more powerful you figuring out on your own versus me telling you, because everyone can tell you things, right? And you're like, I know, and
And your best friend is very good at telling you what you need to know, which is why that isn't necessary. That's not a coach, that's a friend.
yes, yes.
And usually the closest, like your parents or close family friends, they're the ones that will tell you what you need to do and maybe not help you see the broader picture or where you're wanting to go, which is why a coach is important.
Yes, it is. And also because they're removed from your life as well, they can have a more bird's eye view of your life, an outsider's perspective. So there's no biases there, and you know that they're coming from a clean slate, and they can basically see your life crystal clear. And it is a skill to just ask questions and not be telling. There is obviously some guidance that I provide my clients as well, but most of it is to help the client figure it out on their own. So a lot of the sessions are around making sure that you're helping them come to the right conclusion. And by asking the right questions, it actually helps the client be able to do that for themselves later on as well. So when they start thinking down a certain track, they start asking themselves better questions, because I truly believe the quality of your life is dependent on the quality of the answers you're continuously asking yourself, right? So you could be asking when a bad situation happens to me, why me? Why now? How could this happen to me? Those are questions, and those questions are going to give you a certain quality of answers, right? And you're going to feel a certain way and live a certain way and take certain actions because of those questions. Versus if something bad happens, you go, how can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? How can I help others with this? What good can come from this? What are my strengths? Who can help me? Those questions are already putting you on a different vibration, because you are looking towards the future and the solution rather than dwelling on the past and the problems. So questions are very, very powerful and underrated, in my opinion.
Very much so. And I love the fact you said solution, because if I have more of a engineering minded person listening right now, they're always looking for the solution to the problem. So constantly working towards the end goal or the solution. Now, there are numerous different categories of coaching. For example, business, trauma, mindset. How would somebody know which way to go? Might be the question I'm trying to ask.
Yes, yeah. So it depends on where they're at in their journey. So if you're just starting out in your personal development journey and, trying to figure out your purpose and what career path you're meant to go, or you want to start a business, but you're really afraid to go for it, then that means you need a mindset coach, because you kind of need somebody to help you break through any limiting beliefs that you may have that's holding you back from doing that thing. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate. It's even just weight loss as well. There's fitness coaches and wellness coaches who do mindset work, because most of even wellness is around mindset as well, because you have to have the right mindset in order to pursue those things. So look for a mindset coach if you are at that beginning stages. If you are for business coach, what you said as well, for a business coach, that's around more strategies and tactics and marketing and actually giving you the nuts and bolts of how to get there. If you are at a stage where you've already started your business and you need the tools and strategies to help propel your business or service forward, then a business coach is for you. I would say the best thing to do is to consume some of the content from those coaches and see if it resonates with you, and follow your intuition, and pick a coach that you feel you'll be comfortable working with, because that's basically the relationship that you're going to have, right? You need to feel comfortable with them to share your, deepest desires and your deepest secrets, if there are any, as well as your deepest fears. So somebody that you feel is going to make you feel at home, who feels warm to you, and just follow your intuition when you're doing that. And I would say that's probably the best way to sort of pick a coach and figure out which coach is for me right now at this stage in my life. And coaching isn't a one-off thing, because there's so many categories as well. You may need a coach at different stages of your life as well. If you look at the most successful people in the world, they all have coaches. Yes, Michael Jordan is a basketball player and he has a coach, but Oprah Winfrey has a coach. Jeff Bezos has a coach. There's a lot of people.
It is, I kind of felt when I started this about 2 years ago, and I kept on seeing all these coaches coming into the realm. I'm like, I'm fine. Like back away, I'm fine. But really, actually, I've done several different techniques in working with people, and it has made all the difference in the world. The clarity and how fast, like you said, by asking the right questions to get me to the next step, has been money well spent, hands down. Finding that clarity and having the good habits then to continue on. And the energy, I want to talk about the energy for just a second. I'm pretty sure if your mother were still with us, we would be profoundly on the same page, because you told me she loved to garden, she loved nature. And in fact, you brought up about being barefoot. Do you mind sharing?
Yep. So I actually found that, in the corporate world, even in life in general, it's very stressful, and you tend to let a lot of things come into your life, and also the mind chatter as well that you have. So I actually found myself really finding it difficult to sleep a few years ago. And I started researching into a lot of different things to help me with that. One thing I did found is sleep meditations. That was really helpful. But another thing I found was walking barefoot on grass. And there's actually science behind it as well to show that, having physical contact with the surface of the earth reduces your level of stress hormones, and also really calms the body and promotes really good sleep. And same thing with in the morning as well. When you are barefoot in the grass in the morning, it really just helps ground and center you, and just connects you with the earth as well, and just makes you feel so much better. And it's sort of, we came from the earth. This is obviously not scientific, but in my own view, we came from the earth, and it's sort of, we're connected to the earth on a deeper level than we really realize. And it's sort of releasing all your worries and your stress and your tension into Mother Earth, and to allow Earth to just heal you as well.
And it's very interesting to me that from a very young age, I never wore shoes. Now, back then, I wasn't piecing all of this together maybe, but to this day, my absolute most favorite thing to do, because I grew up in the mountains close to streams and rivers, so there was a lot
Oh,
of green
beautiful.
moss everywhere. And it's almost like shaggy carpet, naturalistic shaggy carpet. And to go out without shoes on and just really just sink your feet into this beautiful emerald green moss. There is, it's funny, if you'll jump on over to the blog and look in my about section, I talk about being barefoot. It's there, it's been there forever. So I completely feel like that's a great, if you've never tried it, and maybe you're not a shoeless person, because I know some people who need shoes.
Yes.
But tiptoe out there and just
Yes.
try it for just a second. It's very stress relieving.
It is, it is. And from research as well, you only need 5 minutes. You only need 5 minutes barefoot, and then you get all the benefits. It's because we're so disconnected from nature, living the way we live now. We're not meant to be living in a box. And, well, in nature wise, we're not meant to be 24/7 in a box, traveling home in a box, and then sleeping in a box, right? We've just conditioned society, and well, society's gone in a certain way where we're all just live in a box. And I think that's probably the root of a lot of mental health issues and things that have come up, is because we're not living the way we were designed to live. I'm not designed to sit at a computer all day and sit like this, you know. And I shared with you that's part of why I had my nerve injury last year as well, which was part of my coaching journey and how I ended up discovering that coaching was for me. But the human body isn't designed to sit down all day, and we are designed to move. We're meant to be out in nature, playing, running. That's why children are so healthy and happy. They've got no worries. They take off their shoes, they run around the parks, they're moving their arms and bodies around, and they're creating all the right chemicals in their body to have a happy and healthy life. Whereas as adults, we've forgotten, because people tell us, sit still, be quiet, and be good, when we were younger. And so we continue to live in the constraints of what society has taught us in adulthood. And that's why a lot of people are just so unhappy and unfulfilled, like I was when I was living to the constraints of what I felt I needed to be doing in my life versus what I truly knew I was meant to be doing in my heart. Although I didn't know what it was, I knew it wasn't the path I was on at the time.
And I think at the very, very beginning of a new self discovery journey, drinking water and moving your body. I don't care how you move it. You can run around, you can have a dance off with yourself. But those two things right there, just to start experimenting with this new thing. If you're not doing those things, that's a great place to pick. Just to
yes,
toe in the
simple.
water a little bit. Get
Yes,
going.
yeah, I agree.
So would you, that is a fantastic tip right there, just moving your body. But do you ever start your clients with, is there a tool or an exercise that you like to give them just to kind of get some juices going and flowing?
Yes, I do. So I love giving my clients basically what started me off, because I did research for 3 years, basically trying to figure out my purpose and doing all this personal development and spending hundreds and thousands of dollars on personal development programs and courses, which 100% well worth the money. And just the start of my journey, you don't have to start off on anything crazy. If you're just starting out, start your day off with intention. And for me, I'm one of the main things I'm really passionate about is not just helping my clients find any success, but success that's in alignment with their purpose, their calling, what's going to help them feel more fulfilled. Because you can climb any mountain of success, right? But you don't want to climb the wrong mountain, get to the top and realize, holy moly, this is the wrong mountain. It's over there that I want to be, and climb all the way back down and then climb a whole nother mountain again. So it's really getting aligned and in tune with your intentions and with your inner wisdom, and just starting your day off with intentions. So I really recommend gratitude journaling, and also setting some intentions in the beginning of the morning, asking yourself some powerful questions that really aligns you to have a day filled with more purpose and fulfillment as well. So one of my favorite questions to ask, which is a question I ask myself every single day, having learned what I learned from seeing my mom go through what she did, is I ask myself every morning, if today or this week was my last day or week on this planet, how would I want to live? What would I want to do? What would I regret not having done this week? And that was a really powerful guidance in my life. And I find that it's really powerful for my clients as well, because, you know, sometimes you get busy with life and you go, oh, I need to just get this work thing done right now. And then you neglect time with your children, you neglect time with your husband, you neglect time with your friends and people who truly matter. Because at the end of the day, if you think about it, and if that was actually to come to fruition, you would regret not having said I love you one last time to your husband, having regret not saying I love you to your siblings or your family, and having spent at least 5 or 10 minutes with them, rather than going, sorry, I'm too busy right now, and snap at them because you're in the middle of something. And I think that is a really powerful and really grounding way to start your day as well. And it also activates the reticular activating system in your brain, which, if you've never heard of it, it's basically the filter of the world for your brain. That's the easiest way to explain it without going into too much detail. So it basically helps point out more things in your day when you've filled it with the intention of what you want it to find. So in your day, you'll find more things that you can be grateful for. In your day, you can find more things that you can be happy and fulfilled and more purposeful about. So that's one exercise that I love my clients to do daily, especially whilst trying to figure out their purpose and what their life calling is as well.
And so there's two things in there I want to build a little bit on. I walk our very geriatric dog. He is so much fun. He's an Australian healer, and he looks very much forward to our quarter of a mile. That's about all he can handle around a circle. But every day on our 6-minute tour, I challenge myself before we leave to find one new thing. I mean, there's lots of houses, there's a lot of concrete, there's a lot. So I intentionally have to look for, maybe it's a beautiful little weed that's a flower, or maybe it's, you know, a slug that's crawling across, it's whatever. And then that gives me something to think about that's from nature, and kind of bond a little bit as we're walking, and people probably think I'm crazy, but I talk to the dog. I swear he understands. But it's taking some intentional time just to be there,
Yeah.
And then the other thing about children, if you're in where I am right now with kids they don't need a ton of help, but we're not to teenagers yet. So Emma Catherine walked in the door yesterday, and I was busy editing a podcast, and she walks up and takes the headphones off and lays them down and says, "My day was fine, and let me tell you about it." And I thought, you know what? I've actually taught her that it's important. That's an important moment. And she'd actually slipped up behind me. In my defense, she'd slipped up behind me, so I didn't know she was there. And then we did. I stopped exactly what I was doing, and we had the conversation we always have after school. So stay intentional, and yes, that very much so. Now, you mentioned some money in there too. Why do you feel like people get scared when they start investing in themselves? Why is this so scary?
Yes. So actually, yes, I can totally relate, because that was me at the very beginning of my journey as well. And I shared with you as well that it was about maybe 6 to 8 months before I actually spent any money on courses and or coaches, because I kind of was like, okay, there's so much free content out there. I'm just going to consume. And I did. And there's only so far that free content online will get you, because it's generalized, right? It's not custom tailored to what you want to do and where you want to go. And it is scary because people are not used to doing it. They are not used to investing in themselves. We are told to invest in a car and a house, but the greatest commodity we have and the greatest asset we have is ourselves, is our mindset, is our bodies. And that is something that nothing can ever take away from you, right? The government can't take away your mindset. A robber in the night can't take that away from you. So it is such an important thing, yet we actually haven't been taught to invest in ourselves, basically. The only thing that I felt comfortable investing in myself at that time was education, right? Because that's the one thing that society has groomed us to say, okay, education is something you can actually pay for and go and do. So I guess that's probably the main thing. And also it is scary because you don't know the return on investment, right? Because if you've never invested in yourself in that way before, then you don't know what you're going to get out of it. And I still remember my very first course I wanted to enroll in, and it was $600. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is such a huge investment. And it is, if you don't know what you're going to get out of it, right? And I remember talking to my husband, because it was such a huge financial decision for me at that time. And I was like, okay, babe, I've got this course that I saw online. I think it's going to change my life. And I just sounded like a complete crazy person to him. So he was just like, no. And then I sent him the link to the video, made him watch it too. And he's like, okay, let's go halves on this and see what we get out of it. And, at least we both can go through this journey, and if anything, we'll become closer going through it together.
Right.
And it was 6 weeks, and I tell you, that was what catapulted me to where I am today, having done that first course. Since then, I've done multiple, but that showed me the true power of investing in somebody who's been to where you want to be and has also gone through a lot of the mindset hurdles that gets in your way, and helping them teach you how they got there, and helping them go through exercises that help them make that mindset shift. Before that course as well, I was 12 kgs heavier. Even before I started doing personal, I was 12 kgs heavier. My mindset was a mess. I was totally in victim mode. I didn't realize it until I started going through all these exercises. And I feel like it's just that conditioning that you sort of break yourself out of when somebody's there guiding you, going, this is the guidepost and this is where you can go. And it's a choice. Come with me to this place and come on this journey with me. And yeah, and after that we became, and I think that's when this whole, you probably have heard of like people who are like self-development fanatics. You basically turn into one after you get a taste of it, and you go, wow.
I can say that I've done that.
Yes.
But I live so much more intentionally now, and I feel better because of it. I don't know this for sure. I don't know if it's actually like proven science, but I do know that when you invest money in yourself, or anything, let's example it here. If you get a newspaper for free, let's just make it very simple. If you get a newspaper for free, you're very unlikely to read it. It's very simple to recycle that and move on, get rid of the clutter. However, if you just spent $20 on a book that you personally earned the money and gave them, you are more likely to at least open the book. Now, just think if somebody said it's $500 and it's 6 weeks, and I am going to, be the guidepost, help you get through this thing. Okay, you went from absolutely free and got nothing from it to, okay, I spent a little bit of money and I'll open it and finish it on my own time, to, oh, wow, this whole new arena has been opened that I didn't know. And maybe that free resource could have told you something, but you didn't look at it. So
no. Yes. Yep. You've hit the nail right there in terms of the human psychology around getting something for free versus having to pay for it, because you've got some skin in the game, right? Because then you are now also accountable to make sure you get your money's worth out of whatever it is you're investing in as well. And I think that's the powerful thing. And information is in the transaction. Since then, I've spent, four-figure money on four-figure courses and coaches, five-figure courses and coaches, where I went, oh, but it gets your buy-in. It makes you do whatever it takes to make that thing succeed. I think I shared with you as well in terms of property investing. I got a mentor, so that was a huge investment for me. But because of that initial investment that I had to put down, it made me really motivated to get my money's worth. Same with a coach.
So if you are wanting to see a change in your life, you are probably not going to have it happen just doing the same thing that you're doing right now, if it's so far away from what you've been doing. So we hope that if you take nothing else away from today, it's that invest in yourself. You're worth it. And the world needs your serving spirit to be in it and serving. And, I'm not saying serve for free, but find what you're good at and find people to help you on that journey.
Yes. And initially you may need to do that for free to figure out what it is you want to do.
Right.
And then, but at the end of the day, the goal is to live a more purpose-filled life that's more fulfilling. So you want to be able to find something as well that you can actually make a living off of, so that it allows you to be you, and it allows you to be fully, like you said, to be able to fully serve the world and share your gifts and talents with the world, because only you have those skills and gifts the way you can deliver it to the world. And we need what you have. So
And there is not, even if you think that there is a ton of people doing what you're doing, the answer to that is there is still plenty of room in the world for you to be there. So
Ye-
just do what you love and have somebody help you. Okay, April, how do we find you? Where do we find you on social, website, all the things?
Okay, so it's really easy to find me. You just search my full name on Google and you will find me because there's not many April Shwe-Pauls out there. So it's April, if you just search April Shwe, Shwe-Paul, Paul, you will find me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube just with that name. I also have a website you can go and visit, which is coachingbyApril.com, which is much easier to spell, so you can find me more easily there. And if you go on my website as well, there is a free resource you can go ahead and download, which is a workbook to help you transform your mindset to catapult you towards fulfillment and success. I am also hosting a free 5-day workshop on my Facebook group called Purpose Driven Success as well. If you'd like to join, I'm happy to open out the invite to your listeners, Amber. If you're listening right now and you feel a calling and you feel your soul just stirring, hearing about some of these topics as well, like something is calling you to start awakening, start following your passions and your dreams and your goals, because they may have stayed dormant in there for a while now. And you've been like me saying, I'll do that when I'm 65. I'll do that when I get this job. I'll do that when I hit this savings number. If you feel that that's really on your heart now to actually really go for it rather than waiting for a day that may never come, then join me on this workshop. It is Discover Your Purpose workshop for 5 days with me, absolutely free. And I want to help you in this season of your life take action towards your goals and dreams. 2021 is that year for you. And if you feel like that's really calling you right now, join me on my free 5-day workshop in March and join me on my Facebook group.
Oh my goodness. Right here, if you were looking for, if you just feel like something's been a little off and maybe you're ready to do some discovery, this is it. This is the perfect time to see where these exercises really lead you. No commitment up front necessarily, but I think once you get through the workshop, something this kind of intensive, you're going to see that it's time to step up your personal development game. Oh my goodness. April, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been a blast. And I know that everybody out there is going to take away at least 3 tips for sure.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me on here. I'm so grateful to be spending this time with you. And you are such a beautiful energy, and your listeners obviously just adore you because of that as well. And thank you for this opportunity to speak to your audience and share my story a bit and what I do as well. And yeah, I've just had an absolute amazing time speaking with you and wish you all the success.
Thank you. You too. And you know what? I see another one of these happening. So stay tuned.
Love it.
All right. Have a good rest of the day.
Thanks, Amber. Bye.